Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Man to Man. I'm your host, Hugo Ribatica. And remember, we leave no man behind. With me on the show today, Freddie and Kenny. Gentlemen, thanks for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Hugo.
So interesting conversation we've got because we're talking to two individuals whose careers are not what most men would look at doing. Freddie, you're a hairdresser, is that what we call you nowadays?
Yeah.
And Kenny, they call you a nail tech?
Yeah, nail technician, yes.
Fantastic. So when I was growing up, in fact, even to this very day, the conversation I seldom have with anybody is, what do you want to be in life? And they say to me, you know what, and they're a man, and they say, I want to be a hairdresser or I want to be a nail tech. Freddie, you've been in the business, I think 26 years now?
Yeah, 26 years.
So 26 years ago, obviously it was taboo, Budrunzi, hairdresser. So how did you end up in that space?
Okay, I think it was a long winding road. Started in 1999. I was working for Team Supermarkets, was a cleaner, till operator. Then at that age you'll be trying new opportunities, applying, teaching, whatever course. The only profession that I was applied and I did interview. Nicely was hairdressing, Mashungo Tech. So left TM, went to college, 3 years training.
But before you decided to go, right? I mean, who did you have a conversation with? Because when my first job was in banking, and it was because I had a conversation with my mom and my dad, and they told me like banking is the way to go. So when you were speaking to, who were you speaking to?
Yeah, I had one of my TM customers back when I was working in Chirezi. She was from Yugoslavia. She was called Bogdanovic. So when I told her, I was saving her, I want to be a dresser. She said, wow, it's a beautiful profession. Only to realize that the famous hairdressers in this world are all men. French ones, European ones, Vidal Sassoon, they're all men. Tony Guy, they're all men. She just said, all professional people and celebrities, they need to get their hair done. So go and do it, and do it perfectly and professionally. So that's how it just started.
And the conversations that you had with the people around you?
My first obstacle was actually the family that I was living with in Chirezi. When I told them I'm going to school, I'm leaving a job, and I'm going to be full-time at college. They said, you mustn't do that. Apply to the Mashungo branch of TM, do desk and everything, but hairdressing it's fully, you have to be at the college and do the practical and the theoretical work that you have to do there. So my family said no. Then I said, okay guys, I will do it on my own. So they never gave me anything. Luckily enough, I've saved enough money to go to college. So that's how it started.
Kenny, let's talk about your story. Now, yours is more recent,
yes.
Obviously because you're a few years younger than Freddie. How did you end up as a nail tech?
Well, it was actually my wife who started. At first, it was something that I just saw. I wasn't really curious about it. But my wife was very passionate about doing nails. So we had a conversation. I encouraged her to go and do it professionally because she was doing her sisters, her mom, just, with among girls. Then when she went to school, out of curiosity, I also went to the same school. But I had
to do the same stuff?
To do the same stuff. I hadn't planned to get into the business. This was just before COVID. So after COVID, my mom wanted to start a business for my wife. So she started the nail business for my wife. She got it going, but it wasn't going too well. So she thought about closing up shop. So she had some workers that she had. The entire setup was there. I was like, you know what, if you're not able to do it, maybe let me give it a try.
This is your wife you were talking to?
No, I was talking to my mom.
All right.
Yeah. Let me give it a try, and I'll work alongside my wife. That's when I got into the business, but I wasn't doing nails yet. I had the skill, but I wasn't doing nails. Then I was managing the girls and managing my wife, handling the customers, advertising. Then the business started to boom. Then one day I was just practicing my skill, posted a video on TikTok, it blew up. So the fan response is what made me get into nails.
So let's talk about that response. What was the response?
People were excited to see a guy doing nails. It's not very common to see a guy doing nails. So that excitement, pushed me to get serious about it. So I started posting more videos, getting a bigger response. Then, yeah, the rest is history.
But, so here's a question for the both of you. A lot of this work is associated with sexuality, right? And much of this, right? Or the absence of it, right? You don't expect to hear that Kenny is a family man and he's married, he's got a wife and he's got kids. So is Freddie and so on. So have there been conversations around that? Did people question your sexuality?
Well, up until today, even homosexual guys still approach me in my inboxes. They think maybe I'm part of them. So that's something that's very common. Even up until today, the videos that I post, if I post to my wife, some people are actually surprised, oh, this guy is married, this guy has kids. So yeah.
And you, Freddie?
I think I've never had such kind of experience. I think maybe where I worked with Chris, and I think Chris is also straightforward, so no, I never experienced any of those. No.
Interesting conversation that we're having. You're watching Man to Man. We're back in a moment. Two individuals, absolutely incredible professionals that are in the space that previously was a preserve of women. Don't go away. Thank you for saying that you're watching Man to Man. On the show with me today, I have Freddie and Kenny. Now, gents, let's talk about some of the obstacles in arriving at where you are today. Freddie, one of the things that you spoke of was that you didn't get support from your family. What was the conversation like with your family at the time and when you then became successful?
I think, you know, when people don't really accept or actually approve of what you want to do with life, they just leave you like that. So you actually develop this kind of instincts. I remember when I used to go to school, I would make sure that because I was using my own money, you have to go to the library. You have to find clients. I remember when I was at Bulawayo Polytech, when others would actually go out, I'll be busy doing students here. At school. So I would do so many things that I remember at one point I came back with almost 10,000. I don't know whether it was US dollars or Zim dollars, but I came from college with money. Because it was actually pure survival instincts. And at that time in the colleges, they were no longer catering service. You have to buy your own food.
So part of that, was it also you almost trying to stick it to them with, you know, look what I can do this?
You know, when you decide on doing something, it's either the highway or nothing else. So at certain points, remember, I was an orphan. I think my mom passed on when I was 17. My dad 10 years later. I remember when my dad passed on, I just asked, I was going for my last seminar in Bulawayo. He was sick. And I said, can I go? Then he just said, you have to go. All these other siblings need you. So it was in me. I realized I didn't know where to go. This is the way, and it have to be. It have to work. And it worked.
Kenny, what were the challenges that you faced? I mean, you all seem to have blown up really quickly. But was there any pushback when you got into that space? What were some of the challenges?
Yeah, the first thing when I first got into the industry, you know, people didn't take me seriously at all. You know, they didn't think it was something that I could survive on because the industry that I was in at the time was the bore industry, bore siting, drilling and installation. So moving from that industry, going into a female-dominated industry was a bit of a shock, especially with my father. But as he saw how the business went, how successful it was, how it was growing, he became more tolerant of it.
You raise an interesting issue because most fathers will talk about their parents, and will talk about their kids and how proud they are of their kids. What was the conversation your dad was having with his mates, his friends? I mean, that doesn't sound. It doesn't quite sound like Monong is an accountant or is a truck driver or it was a mechanic.
I would say he wasn't disappointed, he wasn't proud, he was mostly indifferent about the situation. Talking amongst peers, it wasn't something he really talked about. It's not like he was going against me or trying to push me down, but it was something he would be excited to talk about. But right now, he is very supportive of the business. He really pushes it, he helps me. So he became more accepting of it, and now he's very supportive of it.
In conversations that you had with your own peers, your own mates, when you decided, guys, in every little bit did you get any pushback?
Not necessarily pushback, but mostly surprise. You're doing nails? What about balls? That was the main question. What about balls? Why are you leaving balls? So when they saw...
Those are poles apart, right? Because, I mean, boreholes is like super macho, it's getting your hands dirty, digging into the ground. And doing nails is obviously something much softer than drilling boreholes.
Yeah, that's true. So having those conversations, especially my best friend, his name is Tinashe, when he saw the reaction of his friends now, the female friends, female workmates, knowing me now, that's what surprised him now. So, he's my friend. So he got more accepting of it.
Yeah. Freddie, as you walk this journey, let's talk about some of the successes in your journey, right? I mean, you talked about as a scholar making $10,000 because you work really, really hard. What are some of the other successes that you enjoyed in your journey?
I think basically when I started, when I came to Harare for my attachment, I was attached to a guy called Heron. Unfortunately, he's late. Then I went to then Sheraton. Chris was my mentor. So he mentored me to an extent. Remember those days there was the British school, air hostesses. So he taught me all types of hair. Then there came a time when there was a migration of hairdressers. Chris went to Ireland. Remember there was Cliff. He went to Malawi. I went to Botswana. So when I came back from college, the whole salon was full, waiting for me. Because there was nobody there. But remember, I was doing the hair at school. So when the time came, it just started on a high gear. Because the clients were there. So I was also ready. So from the moment I finished school, everything was on track.
So do you get the sense that in this industry, in your business as a hairstylist, that men can do it as well as women, or men can do it better?
I think men, when you decide to do something, we do it more precise and more bold. And also men, when we're in front of women, the idea is to make sure that everything is done perfectly and happy. We don't have any other, we don't have a blend of emotions. Remember, when a woman comes dressed nicely, smelling nice, other women just feel offended with them, but it's her. But with us men, we compliment, you look nice. So that made women, because whenever you finish doing hair, she just posed and everything, she said, this is amazing. So I think maybe it's a natural instinct, or maybe I don't know, women want men to do their work, but we don't carry a lot of those emotions as men.
Kenny, how do you find the same in your industry?
No, generally I noticed that women get a bit more excited to have a male nail tech, male hairdresser. But in terms of skill level, if someone is good, they're good. Especially I wouldn't say I would be better than my wife because she's a master, but I'm pretty close, so yes.
So let's talk about how you manage that conversation or that engagement with your wife once you got into the business that was her preserve, and I'd imagine that you're a little bit more famous than she is.
Well, when I got into it, the fan reaction at first was a bit of a surprise to her, but because we worked together, now at least she was a bit more comfortable. At first, it was annoying. Your customers get touchy, customers laugh, conversations, they confide in you. These conversations that you'll be hearing at first, they affected her, but as time went on, I would say she's okay with it. She's used to it now.
I don't know if she's accepted it, but it's something that we're going to talk about. You're watching Man to Man. I'm with Kenny and Freddie on the show. We're back in a moment. Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Man to Man. In this week's episode, I'm having a conversation with two men, very straight men, that are in the business that was formerly the preserve of women. Kenny, we were talking about you and your role as a nail tech, and obviously being in the same space in which your wife is, because she initially started the business, started to attend school. A little bit of conflict. How have you managed it? I mean, you've talked about instances where women confide in you, touch you, feel you, in the same space in which your wife is present. And I'd imagine some of the women that come to you for the first time don't know that your wife is in the same salon.
Well, the first key I saw is reassurance. She just wants to be reassured a lot that this is just for the business. Mm-hmm. Yes, sometimes you have to listen. You have to give advice, you have to comfort these clients because they came to a nail bar, they feel safe, they feel more open in situations like this, which is spending 2.5 hours with these ladies, so you can just sit and be silent. So yeah, it was a challenge for her at first, but as she got more used to it, it became something that she was more tolerant of. So yeah.
So do you get women that are, I mean, we talked earlier about the men that inbox you. Do you get a lot of women that inbox you as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, plenty of women. That's why at first I wasn't posting my wife too much on my pages. It was mainly strictly business, me doing nails. And then, yeah, that was a problem. In the inbox, clients coming. So it was a
So how do you manage it?
Right now it's a bit better because people know my wife now. Most of my videos, I post them with my wife. So people know that this is Kennedy's wife. So it's easier to manage now. If someone comes to the inbox, I usually just ignore. They are more persistent. Some people call, some people message. Just get a random call. Hi, Kennedy, how are you? It's your girlfriend from Norway. So yeah, these are very tricky situations, but yeah, just ending it right there is usually what I usually do.
Fred, I'd imagine that, Kenny, you're 28. Freddie, you've been 26 years in the business.
Yeah.
That you've obviously had to deal with these issues where women come to you, they're impressed by your work, they confide in you, and obviously you're a good listener.
Yeah, but for me, I think I didn't actually face the kind of challenge that Ken is doing. Maybe it was the location for where I was working, Sheraton Hotel. So basically, and also the type of clientele that I was dealing with. It was actually on the high end. The Miss Malay comes, what were the minister's wives, and so
maybe Kenny's just fresher than you, Freddie.
Maybe, but I honestly didn't actually face a lot of those things.
But what's your advice to Kenny? I mean, you've obviously set the groundwork, set the foundation for many men, right, that are wanting to go into not just nail techs, but even your own industry, that initially with the preserve of women. What's your advice to these individuals that are working in similar industries where there's that continual bombardment of women?
I also think it's about what you do after work. So sometimes if you meet them in bars and everything, they will take it as an opportunity. But I never frequent bars and everything. So, and sometimes you have to be extremely very and focused on other things. You must have another side thing that you do when you're not at work, engage in something.
So what do you do? What's your side there?
When I'm not at work, I was building my clothing model. I think I wanted to make it a resort, I want to make it a school. So just have some side engagement that you spend most of your time, not in other places that people think otherwise.
So you got to keep busy.
Yeah, of course.
Kenny, outside of work, what are your interests?
I haven't left the ball industry. That's still something that I'm doing. So if I'm not at the nail salon, I'm in the field. We're going ball. I mainly do ball sighting. That's my specialty. So that's what I do.
Now, I'd imagine that the both of you would have some advice to give your kids. Kenny, your kids are obviously a lot younger than Freddie. Freddie, what's the sort of conversation or advice that you give your kids on career choice?
I tell to them, you actually have to do something that you have to do with your hands. Because when you do it with your hands, it's a skill that you learn, and no one will ever take it. I remember when I was telling my daughter, she's 26, Lore, she actually didn't. She did hotel and catering and everything, but she came back last week and said, "Hey, Dad, you were right." Because remember what COVID did to the hotel industry. But fortunately, whatever she did, I've built something. So I'm actually finishing on that, so that I'll carry about on the result side.
And Kenny, when you have conversations with your kids in the future or other individuals, I mean, what are the conversations that you're having with guys that say, dude, nail tech is working for you? What's that conversation sounding like?
It's more of encouraging, because right now my cousin as well, he got into the beauty industry, he's doing lashes mainly, and it's going very well for him. He tried many things, music, advertising, graphic design. It wasn't something that was working out too much for him. He did put a lot of effort, but it wasn't just growing as he wanted. But once he got into lashes, right now he's renting his own place, he's taking care of himself, everything is going well. So just encouraging people, so to encourage them to ignore the stigma that is around men working in female industries.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming on to Man.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Freddie and Kenny, individuals that are doing amazing things in industries that were previously the domain of women. Well, that's where we leave the show for this week. I'm your host, Hugo Rebetika. Remember, we leave no man behind. Until next time, goodbye.